This video was not brought to you by Neumann or Fifine. This video was brought by me. I did the video. In my last Fifine video for the AM8, I said something pretty important that kind of flew under the radar for a lot of people. This is where I think these affordable mics should be heading, in a fight for dominance at this price point. And I said that for a reason. The world needs decent sounding super cheap mics. Kids need something to use without spending every last penny of their own or their parents as they try to keep up at content creation. And because Fifine was doing that, my last review was kind of void of any real tough testing or comparisons. The AM8 was a $55 mic and it stood alone in that field. However, we now have this, the Fifine Tank 3. This microphone is $90, which changes a few things. This is no longer that super cheap option for kids to go for. This is only $10 cheaper than the Shure SM58, which means, well, it has to go under the microscope. And if you disagree with any of my findings here, I ask you only one thing. Listen through to the end and hear my full reasoning before you get all angry and get in the comments. Deal? This thing, as described in the name, well, it's a tank. It's also physically heavy, which means this thing kind of gets a pass in the build quality already. Now, there are a few things to mention as well. I like how this has an actual physical button for the mute, as the AM8 was far too easy to trigger without knowing. This button has a tactile push, so you know when you've pushed it without having your headphones on. The back of the mic is kind of as you would expect it would be. The XLR and USB inputs are fine and no real red flags here. And you also have that headphone output for when you're in USB mode. The knobs on this, they're fine. And actually, this is the first time I've had knobs on the Fifine mic that have similar tension to each other in their throw. Also, the yoke is a bit of an upgrade from the AM8 as well, which allows you to tighten it a bit more. It doesn't tighten all the way. It is better, though my microphone has gone out of position a couple times just because of the tension of the XLR. That's a bit annoying. Now let's do the off-axis rejection of the Tank 3 by Fifine. This is me speaking directly into the front of the capsule. Now I'm speaking directly into the side of the capsule. Now I'm speaking into the rear of the capsule like a moron. Now let's do a plosive rejection test of the Tank 3. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. Now a close-up. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. Now let's do proximity effect test on the Tank 3. This is me speaking about 4 inches off the front of the capsule. Now I'm directly on top of the capsule. Now I'm about 4 inches away. Now I'm directly on top. Now we have the Fifine Tank 3 versus the Maono PD200x. I'm trying to stay right in between them. As I go between them, you can see up here where I'm putting the names. This one's cheaper. This one I think is between $55 and $65 on sale. This one, $90. What do you think? Now we have the Fifine Tank 3 up against the Fifine AM8. This is the one I reviewed about a week ago. What do you think as I go between them? Which one do you prefer? The Tank 3 or the Fifine AM8? Let me know down below. Now we have the microphone that's coming for you if you release a microphone that's close to $100. This is the Fifine Tank 3 and this is the SM58, the industry standard for everything, including hammering nails. This is the microphone that other microphones want to grow up to be like. So what do you think as I go between these? Okay, now I'm channeling my inner Bandrew with the U87AI up against the Fifine Tank 3. And this is the difference between the two. Now, this one I'm just doing to kind of rub in the face of Dylan because he lent me this microphone, but forgot to give me the shock mount. So I'm hand-holding a Neumann U87AI for the purpose of this comparison. And I know there's going to be some of you in the comments going, no, the Fifine sounded better. It didn't. It doesn't. It never will. This is a $100 microphone. This is a $3,500 microphone. Your choice is clear. Go buy a Neumann U87AI. Link is in the description. This video was not brought to you by Neumann or Fifine. This video was brought by me. I did the video. Okay, so let's take a look at the pros and cons here and let's start out positive. The plosive rejection on this is actually pretty decent, although a few still get through. I'm very poppy though, so I'm gonna let this one go. I was initially concerned that I didn't get a clown nose with it, but I guess it doesn't really need one if you're not really poppy. The off-axis rejection, also quite good, especially for a mic tuned for voice. This thing should be able to handle extraneous noise as well. Also, the proximity effect is decent, though I think the sound quality of the mic requires that proximity for it to actually kind of sound good, which does lead us into the cons. And from here on out, this might hurt if you're pulling for this mic. Now, Fifine refers to this mic as a flatter version of the K688 in the AM8. And kinda, but I like to see it as a muddier version with less presence in the high end. You see, that high end helps your voice cut through the mix, and void of using an interface like a Rodecaster Pro or something else that has EQ and compression, this microphone just kind of falls flat. For me, the AM8 was a far superior sounding mic, and I even like the PD200x more. Don't even get me started on the SM58, it completely blew them both away. On the USB side, the headphone preamp on this thing is just atrocious, and I've had to completely crank it up just to get a decent monitoring volume. Again, these are the things that I didn't hyper focus on with the AM8, and that's because of the price point. The price on this thing just gives it a bit more pressure. So then, should you buy the Tank 3 from Fifine? No. Now, here's what I would do if I were you. Buy the AM8 or the PD200x when it's on sale, or save your money to get the SM58. Maybe you want a more expensive mic with both XLR and USB. Well, then save a little extra more and get the PodMic USB from Rode. And here's why. At the $90 mark, you're entering into the field of legendary. Like this, the SM58. Doesn't look as cool, but you know what it does do? It gives you a quality of sound that has been counted on by professionals for years. You can do anything with this microphone, including resell it at almost 90% of its original cost. And I doubt you're going to get the same for this. Again, let me reiterate what I said in my last video. This is where I think these affordable mics should be heading, in a fight for dominance at this price point. As you get closer to that $100 price point, the game kind of changes on you and more is expected of you. Of course, build quality is important, but sound quality is as well as is longevity. Now, this isn't saying that Fifine can't build anything that sells at this price, but if they're going to, they need to be able to stand up to mics like the SM58. The capsule in this microphone has almost 60 years of refinement. You're not going to beat that with a capsule that came off a shelf somewhere. Sorry, Fifine. Let me know what you think down below, though. Am I being fair? Cheers, guys, and I'll see you in the next video.